Hello, welcome. I'm Julie Siomacco with SouthernCharmWreaths, and I'm doing my first Periscope today. Welcome. Oh my gosh, thank you for the hearts. Thank you. Hi, Elvin. Hi, nice to see you. Hi, thanks for coming in. And hi, the Wreath Shop. Yay! Good to see you. Thanks for joining. I'm just going to give a couple more minutes for people to join. Wasn't sure how many people would check it out, but I wanted to make my first Periscope answering questions regarding how to make wreaths. I'm fine, Elvin. How are you? Thanks for coming. Hi, Wreath Shop. Nice to see you. Just wanted to answer a few questions on how to make wreaths. Hi, Nani. So happy to see you too. Wow, from Turkey. Oh my gosh. It's good to see everybody. Thanks for joining me. But just a little bit information about myself. I'm Julie Siomacco with SouthernCharmWreaths.com, and I make and sell design wreaths for home decor, but I also teach others how to make and sell their own wreath creations through my ebooks and how-to videos. I got started making wreaths about probably 2009. I was making wreaths for myself and putting them on my own doors, and people were, liking. Thanks. I'll speak slowly. Thank you for telling me yes. I started making wreaths for my own home in 2009, and people, my neighbors were really liking my wreaths, and they wanted me to make wreaths for them. And so I started doing a little side business, and eventually, it was a little hobby and grew into a side business, and I started selling on Etsy, and I really wasn't taking it seriously until my husband lost his job in 2011, and that's when I did some soul searching and praying on, what should I do with this? Should I go get a real job with benefits? And I just felt the Lord guiding me into the direction of growing this business, and I'm so glad I did. I'm just so happy that I listened. I love what I do. I love teaching others how to make their wreaths and sell them online. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I do right now. And today I wanted to answer any questions you may have on making and designing your own wreaths. So if you have any questions, just feel free to type them in. And oh yes, this is a real job, the Wreath Shop. Yes, this is my real job. Yes. I spend probably about 50 hours a week working this business of mine, and it doesn't really feel like work though when you love what you do. So, but if you have any questions, just feel free to type them in. I have a few people. Okay, wondering about tails on funky bows. Nani, what's your question about the tails? Are they just not laying for you? To do with less tails. If you're making the funky bow and you feel like the tails are too many, what you can do is just cut them off. You can move some towards the back of the bow, closer to the wreath, and if they're too long, you can cut them off. Okay, for lantern swags, what I do is I just move them around, some to the front, some to the back, and then I cut them off short. You could also move some of the tails coming up through the center of the bow, and it adds a little bit more of depth to the bow. So you could do that. Does that answer your question, Nani? Can you discuss the big deco mesh loops? Wreath Shop, I'm not quite sure I understand that. Can you elaborate on that? Okay, good. Thank you, Nani, for answering that. When I make my mesh loops for the deco mesh wreaths, right now I make them about 10 inches long, because I used to make them larger, about 14 inches long, but then we all know about the FedEx and all the shipping companies increased their shipping charges on the larger boxes. So I decided I would make the wreaths smaller so that I wouldn't have to spend so much money in shipping. And now I like to make my mesh loops 10 inches long, and I do that on both the inner and the outer ring. Does that answer your question? How to make them big. Some do them smaller. If you want to make your loops bigger, you could just make them bigger. You just make them 14 inches. Does that answer your question? You're welcome for the lantern swag tutorial. If you haven't seen the lantern swag tutorial, head over to SouthernCharmWreaths.com/blog, and I have a fall lantern swag tutorial on there. You make your loops 35 inches long, Josh? That seems really big. I mean, I guess if you had a bigger base. Oh, very funny. That's funny. Hi, Best Carolina DJ. Thanks for joining. Here, I'm going to read you some of the questions that are frequent that I see from in different groups and in my Facebook group. All right, so one of the questions that I get is how to attach a wood sign to your wreath. What I like to do, it really depends on the depth of the wood sign. I use a punch or an ice pick and make a hole, and then you could use those screw eyes, you know, the screws that have the little circles on the top. You could then put those in there in the hole and then reinforce it with some hot glue, and that way you can use it to wire it into your wreath. I really prefer to wire as much as possible on my wreaths so that they withstand the shipping and they withstand my customers, you know, don't have their wreaths falling apart when the doors are opening and closing on their doors and, you know, that type of thing. So I like to reinforce with wire and glue. So once you've, if your wood sign is not thick, you could always staple floral wire or a pipe cleaner on the back. You just staple it with a heavy-duty staple gun and then come over it with some hot glue to reinforce it, and then use that to wire it into the actual base. Don't wire it into the mesh. I mean, you can wire it into the mesh, but make sure it's secured to the actual frame or the grapevine, the base part, so that it's very secure. Then you can come back through with your hot glue gun and shoot hot glue to kind of help to stabilize it a little bit more. So maybe hopefully that will answer that question. Some other questions that I have are, what type of glue do you like to use? And I use the high temperature hot glue that really helps to secure the item really well. The hot glue tends to work better with the higher temperature, you know, states that are hot temperatures, and, you know, if you're in Arizona and that place, Las Vegas, places like that where it gets really, really hot, the hot glue really seems to work the best. The easiest wreath. What's the easiest wreath for a new wreath maker to make? Great question. Great question. I would have to say the easiest wreath to make would be a deco mesh wreath using a work wreath form. So a work wreath form are those wreaths that are wire wreaths, but they already have colored tinsel ties attached to them, and then use deco mesh, making probably the 21-inch wide deco mesh and making loops with that, and then you make the loops and you attach it into the twist ties. So that to me would probably be the easiest one for a beginner. You could then come back in with ribbon streamers that are about 2 inches longer than your mesh loops, and you would just be amazed at just how quick that alone will make your wreath look really professional. Yes, I have tutorials on YouTube. It's YouTube, and it's just search Southern Charm Wreaths, and I've got some tutorials on how to do that. So just let me know if y'all see any more, if you have any more questions. I'm going to keep reading questions that I have that other people have sent in that couldn't make the Periscope. How do you keep the mesh from fraying? Oh my gosh, that is such a huge question. Do you have problems with that? Everyone seems to have problems with the mesh fraying. And let me say that that is just the nature of the beast with this product. I mean, there's really no great way to keep the mesh from not fraying. It's just going to fray. The problem Okay, but there are tips that you can do to keep the fraying to a minimum. Let me say that. So first of all, the mesh, and I'm not bashing these stores or anything. They're great stores for a lot of other things, but unfortunately, the mesh that I found sold in the big craft stores, I'm not going to name names, but the big name brand craft stores, their mesh is just not very good quality. You can look at it and tell that the weave of the mesh is very wide. So when you go to cut it, it's obviously going to fray more. So I find that buying the mesh through specialty shops online, like I like trendytree.com, places like that tend to have a better selection of the premium quality mesh, if you will. Yeah, quality of the mesh. If you use the mesh that has more of the foil, the metallic foil woven in, it tends to fray less than if it's just a basic mesh with no foil. So the more foil in the mesh, the less fraying. Unfortunately, you're also paying a little bit more because you've got more foil in it. Another tip is to use a rotary cutter versus scissors. If you use scissors, there tends to be more fraying. So use a rotary cutter, with a sharp blade and a mat. Make your cut, and then don't handle the strips very much. Just handle them as little as possible, and then make your wreath. There's going to be fraying. Once you add the ribbons and stuff like that, what you could do is go back with scissors and kind of, give it a haircut, if you will, and just trim up some of the strands that are sticking out and that type of thing. But then it's good. It's not going to fall apart or anything on your door, but it just is fraying when you're working with it as you make it. Does that make sense? Let me know if that helps. Okay, so how many rolls of mesh should you get for a beginner wreath? That's a great question. One roll of mesh is good for, it depends on the style that you want to make. If you're just using the loop method, where you just, the poof method is what they call it, one roll for one roll. Oh, fluffy. I've not heard that. Are you talking about the ruffle maybe? But if you're doing the poofs, what you do is you're going to need one roll of the 21-inch mesh, and that's good for one wreath. If you're doing the poofs, yes, then that's good for one wreath. Of course, if you want to add more colors, like an inner circle, you would probably need another color. So that would be 2 rolls of the mesh. Now, one of the questions I had was, what method of deco mesh do you prefer to make? What wreath style for what the deco mesh do you prefer to make? I'm checking my Twitter too. That would be the curl and loop method that I demonstrate in my ebook. It's at learndecomeshwreaths.com. It's an ebook, and I have a method. It's called curl and loop, and I can get 4 wreaths out of 3 rolls of mesh, which typically you can only get with the poof method, 1 wreath out of 1 roll of mesh. So if I use 3 rolls of mesh, I can get 4 wreaths. And another reason I like using this method is that it adds a lot more color and it adds a lot more texture to the wreath. That it makes the wreath also a little bit narrower. It's not as deep. So the shipping cost is not as expensive, and let's see, I just really like that. It's fun to work with. It's gives the texture and a lot more color. Because if you use 3 colors, you've got a better looking wreath with the 3 colors. So I like that method. Do you have any questions on that style of wreath? That sealants for colored burlap that fades in the sun. That's another really big question on what to spray on your wreaths to protect them from fading. And the fact of the matter is that when you put anything outside in the sun, there's going to be fading. Now, I have to say that I have not really seen anything that protects it 100%, but I've read that you could put the Krylon clear spray. It's make sure you get the non-yellowing It's a Cryline clear coat, and it's the non-yellowing, not glossy either. Make sure you don't get the glossy. And I've also seen that Minwax, let me see, I had that in here. Minwax polyurethane clear is another one that people are suggesting. I have not found any of it to really work for my wreaths. So I don't spray my wreaths, but you're more than welcome to try those. I've seen that some other people have had, they say that they help theirs. Does that answer your question? So other questions that we have are, let's see, how do you clean up the back of your wreaths? And then a lot of people talk about how some of their wreaths might scratch the doors. What I use when you're making wreaths, I encourage you to use bushes versus the individual stems. You get more for your money when you use a bush, say, with 8 to 10 stems on it than you would if you were to purchase the stems individually. So you get more for your money that way. But then another benefit of that is you get a lot of leftover silk flower, the leaves that you don't use necessarily in the wreath design part on the front. So what you could do is to repurpose those silk flower, the leaves of it, is just to cut them off and hot glue them onto the back of the wreath. I show some examples on my blog, SouthernCharmWreaths.com/blog, and then you can see what I'm talking about. But you just hot glue the leaves, make sure they kind of go in the same direction on the back of your wreath, and it helps to soften anything. You want to hide the mechanics, so I would do it over anywhere pipe cleaners or floral wire are showing, and that type of thing. And then if you have like a grapevine wreath, if you can kind of feel where it's rough and it will be scraping the door, so you just hot glue the silk flower wreaths on top of that. That helps. It's some people use the fresh moss. It tends to be there's good uses for that, like when you need to catch hot glue there that might be dripping or something like that. But it tends to be using the silk flower leaves tends to be a little less messy, I find, than using the fresh moss. So I hope that answers that question on cleaning up the back of your wreaths. And let's see, another question. Let's see, I think I've answered that question. Hello, Charmaine, welcome. How are you? Do you have any wreath making questions for me? Let me know if you have any questions. Also, feel free to heart. You can tap the screen and it sends me some hearts. And that, I love getting the hearts. And you can always share this whenever you're sneaking at work. I'm sneaking at work too. Just kidding, I'm actually working. I love this. Yeah, great. I'm so glad you joined. Feel free to share. You can click the share at the very bottom and it'll tweet out to people that you're on the Periscope. Oh, great. Thank you. I'm so glad I helped you. Thank you so much. All right, let me see if I have any other questions that seem to be... Oh, how to attach metal signs was another question that people tend to always ask me. I really like metal signs. They seem to be a little trickier attaching to your wreath. Before I purchase a metal sign, I always evaluate it to see, first of all, where can I run floral wire that it will, so that it's hidden behind the design. And then if there's always going to be a place where it seems to need, a third attachment or something like that, and there's not a great place. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And there's not a great place to run the floral wire. In that case, I just drill, using a drill, a small hole, just wide enough to add, to put a pipe cleaner in. Yes, pre-drilled holes are always nice, but that's living in a perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect world. Sometimes you have to drill your own holes. And you just want to make the hole wide enough to put floral wire or a pipe cleaner in. So really small, not a big one. And then you can wire the sign to again, always wire to the actual base of the wreath. So if you're using a frame, the wire frame Thank you for the hearts. Or if you're using a grapevine wreath, you want to wire it to the grapevine wreath. So you're not going to actually wire it to anything that would fall off, like the mesh, not that the mesh will fall off, but the mesh is not going to be sturdy enough. You need to wire it to the frame part of the wreath. And then to cover up any of the holes or the floral wire, you can use ribbon, or you can use hot glue any silk flowers on top of it to kind of camouflage. You want to always hide the mechanics. So when somebody, a neighbor or a customer, if you're selling it, looks at the wreath, they're questioning, how did you put this together? It's really good when you when you hide all the mechanics. That's a very good professional trick. So that makes your wreaths more professional. I think I have gone through all of these questions. Okay, did I talk about the base? The people asked me about when I make my deco mesh wreaths. What are you working on now? Currently, I am working on. I've got actually 3 orders that I haven't finished, and they're due today. I've got to hand deliver 2, and I've got to ship 1. You too. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining me. So I'm working on actually college wreaths. I've got 2 Gamecock wreaths that I have to deliver today, and then I've got a Georgia wreath, college wreath, that I've got to ship today. And I've got a couple of orders for lantern swags, but they're not due out today. I've just got those 3 that I still have to finish, so I'm a little stressed about that, getting that done. And then I'm actually trying to work on an idea for another how-to video. Right now, just, comment below if you have any question or any ideas for a video, but I'm thinking how to do like a door swag using a teardrop base. People always ask about how to make that, so I thought I'd do a video on how to do that. You like that? Okay, good. I'm thinking the right way then. Yay. All right, so there's that. And then I had another video idea of making garlands. I wanted to make a Christmas garland. I really love doing my house up big for Christmas, and I did a couple of garlands for my mom, and I've posted them, and people just love it, and they want to know how to do it. So I was thinking about doing a video on how to make an over-the-top, nice Christmas garland. Yay! I'm glad you like those ideas. Okay, good. But other than that, I'm working on... What are you working on? What are you working on making? The Wreath Shop, you joined again. Are you having some bad connections? I hope it's not me. What are you guys working on in your wreath shops? Okay, not me. Lantern swags. Are you having fun with the lantern swags? I love making those lantern swags. They're a lot easier. When I first started making the lantern swags, I was like, these are really difficult. I couldn't understand how to make them. Yay, yes, I love them too. But then I just kept playing around with it, and I'm like, there has got to be a simpler way to this. And so I posted that video on my blog on how to make a lantern swag. It just seemed so much easier with my method. Chalkboard pumpkin welcome wreath. That sounds really nice. I cannot wait to see how that turns out. The chalkboard, if you don't know, is very popular right now. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. That was really pretty. Thank you. Thank you for posting that. Thanks for sharing. I always want to encourage everyone to share your designs. I love seeing them. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, I couldn't quite get that with your username at @vnani. Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Thanks. But the lantern swags are really simple to do, and you can use them for any holiday occasion. If you're, tailgating, you want one, you can make one for, your favorite theme, or if you're having birthday parties or anything like that. So those lantern swags are very versatile, and they're very popular right now. So, but if you don't have any other questions, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've been talking for about 25 minutes now. I'm looking on Twitter. I don't see any questions on Twitter. Yes, university wreaths are really popular right now. I've been making a lot of them. I'm going to list a few more in my store. And take small, oh, I missed seeing that. Oh, you're making burlap and mesh wreaths. Sorry, I missed the last comment about the small amount. I wasn't sure what it said. But I'll make sure that you post on, thank you so much, very informational. Oh, yay, I'm glad, a new wreath maker. Make sure you follow me on Facebook at SouthernCharmWreaths. And I like to answer questions there. Follow me on Instagram, Southern Wreaths, SouthernCharmWreaths on Instagram, Twitter, Southern Wreaths, and I'm going to be posting a lot more help videos and tutorials. Yes, Halloween wreaths and Christmas already. Yes, I actually started making the bases of my Christmas wreaths about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So when I get a spare minute, I just will make the base of the wreath and not put any ribbon or anything else in it. I just make the wreaths as I have time, and I set them aside so that when I get back from Christmas, shopping, Carol, thank you so much. So when I get back from my Christmas supplies shopping and stuff like that, the wreath making process goes a lot faster for Christmas wreaths because I've already pre-done the base. So maybe that's a tip that'll help you guys. But listen, I'm going to wrap it up today. Thanks for joining me, and I will let you know when I do another scope. I probably won't be very often, but I'll let you know. You can just follow me on Facebook. Thanks again. Bye.